So joining us today is PMI's Chief of Staff to the CEO and member of the Agile Alliance Board of Directors. Lenka has a lot of experience working for and within PMI, and she has led PMI's transformation and enterprise program management offices, where she bridges the gap between high-level strategy and operational excellence. She has a background in driving digital and agile transformations for major European financial institutions. She's a powerhouse in fostering innovation and customer-centric growth. And her expert in the field, she holds a master's in computer science. She has a wealth of elite certifications, and we'd like to give her a warm welcome as she shares her insights on maximizing project success to elevate our world. And with that, I think I'd like to hand over to her now, and hope you interact and engage with us today. Please don't be shy, ask lots of questions. And yes, please, Lenka, over to you.
Thank you so much, Marianne, and welcome everyone. This is exciting because this is first event of this kind for Cambridgeshire branch, so I'm very happy to be here. I see that it's around 20 of us here, which is awesome because that means that we can have a true discussion. So I will be presenting a couple of slides. We tested it before and we found out that when I'm presenting, I can't actually see anything that you put in chat or Q&A. So Marianne and Alexandra, they will help me and they will just shout at me, Lenka, there are some questions. So please feel free to interact and just use this opportunity to ask anything that you would like to know. So are we ready to start? Should I go into presenting mode? Okay, cool. So let me do the magic. So, oops, this is really like for all these online work. The question is, do you see my slides?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Lenka.
Perfect. Amazing. All right. So as I was introduced, I'm Lenka Pincot, Chief of Staff to the CEO at PMI. And in my role, I have this amazing opportunity to also be the executive leader for our thought leadership and research team. And that's something that is really exciting for me because it helps me to be really at the forefront of the innovation of the project management profession. And that's something that I truly enjoy, to see where the profession is headed and how can we upskill, how should we upskill so that we can future-proof our careers. And this work on enterprise agility and the new manifesto, that's part of the work that we conducted last year. And it was another amazing opportunity to see where is the profession headed and how can we support our organizations to drive more impact and value. So the topic for today is obviously agile and agility. And beyond thought leadership and my recent work at PMI, the topic is close to my heart for two other reasons. As Marianne mentioned, my education is in software engineering and computer sciences. And we started to learn about agile principles in software engineering roughly around 25 years ago. So I'm very happy to see how far this agile movement got. And another reason why I like this topic is that before I joined PMI, I was working as leader of agile transformations in the financial industry. So again, really excited about today's discussion. So first things first, I think we should clarify why we even need to talk about enterprise agility. And because, I don't want to talk all the time, I prepared some questions for you. So if you can please grab your phones and scan this QR code, and I will ask you, I think, two simple questions. So I give you a minute, but don't worry, even when I progress to the next slide, I think the QR code will stay in a little corner, so you will still be able to join in the Slido. So my first question is, what does agility mean to you? When I say agile, agility, what comes to your mind? And I will give you a minute. This question is a word cloud. Exactly. So it will, flexible and adaptable. Adapting, definitely. Change direction fast. I like that. Again, flexible, responding, providing value, open for change, customer centric, all very good answers. Okay. One more minute. Responding, value driven, adapt. Oh, so now we're starting to see some patterns. Okay, so adapting. Okay, thank you. So how often do you actually apply agile values and principles at your work? Either every day, consistently, almost basically, often, sometimes, or never? Oh, so I see we have a lot of agile experts here. We don't have anyone who would never use any agile principles in their work. So that's very that's very encouraging. Right. So when it comes to enterprise agility, I always like to start with clarifying that term. And I use this little analogy because there is agility that we need to develop for ourselves on our own individual level. Then there is very frequently used team agility or implemented team agility, agility on team level. And then now there is enterprise agility. So for individual agility, let's think about an athlete. So they need to be on top of their game, they need to be flexible, they need to adjust, they train, they stretch their muscles so that when they need to do sudden move, they can do it. And we all need to develop our own internal agility. And just to share one interesting fact, when I was going through some third-party research recently, I think it was LinkedIn statistics, it was close to 40% current C-suite prioritize agility as one of the very strong factors when they are making new hires, because that agility, the way we learn, the way we able to adjust changing conditions, is very important. Now, team agility. So now we take it to another level. So we can think about a team, a sports team. So I have here, I think it's not basketball, I think it's volleyball, handball, I think volleyball team, right? So that's become more complicated because it's not only about us being able to adapt, sense, and respond, but now it's a team. So we need to learn how to work together, how to communicate, how to move in cohesion when we want to get somewhere, right? So, of course, agility became very popular when it comes to software development and using these principles for product and customer centricity and all of that you mentioned. But then when we move to enterprise agility, that is not about having more teams. That's, in this sports analogy, like running a stadium where these teams perform. But running a stadium is way more than just creating environment for one or two teams playing in the field. So in this analogy, running a stadium is also about security, ticketing, logistics, vendors, broadcasting, whatever that is. And enterprise agility is that ability of that whole system, of that whole enterprise to adapt at scale if something happens. For instance, weather changes, or there's some security threat. Again, whatever that is that might impact that stadium. So I just wanted to clear it out at the very beginning, because when we talk about enterprise agility, we talk about agility on the level of the whole enterprise and not about multiplication of team agility. So why we talk about that? Why we need to achieve that enterprise agility, or in other words, change readiness muscle, transformation readiness muscle of organizations. So what I'm sharing right now, this is coming from our PMI proprietary research. This one in particular we ran in November and December last year, so it's still very fresh, and it's showing that vast majority of CEOs, they say that they must rethink and challenge assumptions of their operating or business models at least every 5 years. That's a lot. From our research, we also have a number of 65% of them say that they need to do this at least every 2 years. So that doesn't mean rebuilding the whole organization from scratch, but it really means challenging the status quo and challenging how we operate. Now, why this is the current reality? 72% CEOs say that AI and automation is a top driver. And we all see impact of AI every day, so I don't need to talk about that too much. But then we also ask, what are the current challenges to achieve that ability to adjust and to reconfigure at speed? And there are two challenges that made it to the top of the list. So one of them is strategy execution gap. That was quoted as the number one challenge. And the second challenge is the ability to continuously upgrade talent, people, to be future ready. And both of these challenges are then creating impact on what is expected from, and I will say project professionals, but I mean also agile professionals, essentially all professionals that are creating value by delivering initiatives, changes, whether it's delivering projects or developing products. So both these challenges impact our delivery models. The first one is very obvious. How do we close strategy execution gap? How do we build, reconfigure, rebuild our delivery models to deliver value at speed? And the second one is equally important, that challenge, because we need to keep upskilling ourselves. We need to keep challenging our ways of working. And that's why, for instance, when we talked just a minute ago about that individual agility, that's why it's so important. And that's why it makes perfect sense that CEOs now prioritize our individual agility when they are hiring new team members to their organizations. We also ask C-suite how do they define enterprise agility. That's very important insight, because if we want to achieve anything together and enhance enterprise agility and support organizations to be change ready, to have that muscle, we need to speak the same language. That was also one of the reasons why we started to work on Manifesto for Enterprise Agility, to create that common language, global reference. So what you see on this slide from this research is also PMI proprietary research with C-suite. We see that C-suite, they define enterprise agility as the ability to rapidly adapt to change without losing strategic focus, which means eyes on the prize, but being flexible on the way we get there. And right behind that is having that ability to sense and respond to evolving market, customers, and technology signals. That sounds simple. Actually, it's quite complex in reality, because we are overloaded with signals, so many things happening around us every day. So we see that enterprise agility is also about that ability to filter out noise and understand what matters to me, and then have the right reaction to that. What is also interesting on this slide is what enterprise agility is not. So when you look at the bottom of this table, you will see that it's not about application of agile methodologies in software development. It's not about systems when projects and product delivery align continuously. So these last two lines, this is more the language from team agility. And we see that that is not what C-suite and CEOs understand under enterprise agility. That's that distinction between having a team or multiple teams, team agility, versus running the whole stadium. Another way how to look at that is this chart, where when we think about organizations and what are the capabilities, strategic capabilities that they need to have, they need agility in a sense of being able to sense, adapt quickly, having that flexibility. They also need to have resilience. If something happens, organizations want to be able to withstand that shock. And they want to have anti-fragility. This term is not yet super popular. I keep saying it for a few years that it will be, and I still believe it. Anti-fragility is essentially an ability to thrive in times of disruption. So that's a lot about mindset. If you are facing disruption, what do you do about it? How can you turn that threat and risk into an opportunity? Again, on enterprise level, harder to achieve than on our individual level, but that's it. There are organizations, I think Amazon is probably one of the very famous examples, organizations that were facing significant disruptions, mostly driven by technological advancements. And then we know that some organizations were hit by progress of digital transformation, but some really took it as an opportunity and grew stronger from that disruption. That's what anti-fragility as capability is about. But when we talk about our profession projects, we need to take view on enterprise agility. Now we understand what C-suite need, what CEOs, what they are looking for, and what we at PMI, what we look at is also how is it impacting projects and those delivery systems so that we can support CEOs in their building of this transformation and change readiness muscle. So what we see on our data and our reality is that complexity of these delivery systems, projects, programs, products, the complexity of the challenges that we need to address are also increasing. So I have another question for you, like a reality check. So it's the same Slido. So if you still have it on your phone, it will pop up. So when you look at your own organizations, what are the challenges that your organizations are facing today? Supply chains. Definitely, I would say.
Hi,
Okay.
Lenka. Just like to join in because I'd actually click quite a few of these, but I think I'm only able to pick one. So I would probably add a few answers if I could. I don't know about other people.
Oh, it's possible because I think I always forget to allow that option when I'm setting the Slido. So just pick up the most impactful one. Well, so it's changing a little bit, right? So now we see AI projects and how do we scale AI pilots, climate and extreme weather on the top of the list. Yeah. So if you are facing these challenges, you are absolutely not alone. At PMI, we also work a lot with third-party research, and I, put some of these insights together on this slide to see how that business story is unfolding. So we see that organizations are facing very high pressure to be able to transform, but because, as we will see from all these data points, transformations are becoming perpetual, continuous. The challenge of current organizations is not only to be able to transform themselves, but also to build that transformation muscle along the way. And that's another shift, another reality that we need to acknowledge when we think about how we deliver projects. That is not only like delivered and done, but like how do we, along delivering on changes, how do we build our capabilities, resilience, how do we learn from each other so that next time when we start another change, we will be more efficient in doing so. So what you see on these data points, so we see, for instance, this that there is a shift in business models because almost 4 out of 10 CEOs have entered a completely new sector in the past 5 years. And for many of them, those new moves already represent more than 20% of their revenue. So organizations are not just improving what they do, but they are reinventing themselves, entering new markets while they are still running their businesses. So that's very interesting. At the same time, what they are facing is increased level of volatility. So according to World Economic Forum, what we witness every day, trade dynamics, geopolitical situation, regulatory changes, of course, AI, all these forces are creating constant change and uncertainty, ambiguity, so that environment in which organizations operate is not stabilizing, it's continuously evolving, and we need to find a way to deal with that, to be efficient in this environment. So organizations say like we need to move fast, but in some aspects we would say not that fast, right? Because another very interesting data point from IBM is that while organizations are rushing with their AI investments, is also creating new enterprise debt, essentially, if these new solutions are not properly integrated with existing solutions. So this enterprise debt is something that if we create it, it will slow us down next time. So when we think about enterprise agility, that's why I talk so much about that muscle, that transformation muscle, because you can change, right, with certain effort. But if you create enterprise debt along the way, next time when you need to change, it will be harder. So, working on change, we always need to think that now we are in the state of perpetual change. So, it's not about changing once and done, but how do I do that change so that next change will not be harder, but hopefully easier. Another, yeah, sorry.
Hi, Lenka. I wonder if there's a good time to ask a question by the audience. We've got
Sure.
two people who'd like to join the stage, and then there's one in the Q&A. So, two in the Q&A now. Thank you.
So, should I stop sharing? Just let me know. Should I stop sharing or?
I think you can keep the slides there.
Okay.
Let's try this. So, if we welcome Tiemo, if I've mentioned your name correctly there. How do we do this, Paul and Alexandra?
I'll do that for you.
Thank you. Oh, yes, I can see that.
Yeah, I accepted the
Okay.
Great. Okay, welcome. Let's see. Can we see you? You may have to click on join stage. Tiemo, are you with us?
If maybe sometimes the members are not very convenient, it's not very convenient to join the stage. Maybe we can read out the question meanwhile, but then you have to actually go through the question meanwhile. Oh, here we go. We have a TMO now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I may have requested that in error, to be fair. Well, that's fine. I've got no question, honestly.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, why don't we highlight Jackie's question?
Would you be able to see it, Lenka? Or...
No, I will not. I will not.
Yeah.
You have to read it for me.
Okay. Yeah. I'll read it out then. Jackie's question is, will PMI starts to change their language around change control, which is still referred to as change management, e.g. in PM book, the PMP and the CEPM exams, etc. Enterprise agility and transformation must embrace organizational change management and behavioral change management, and align those to the project management processes and outcomes. So that's the question.
Yeah. So I would say, so Jackie, you probably know that resources that PMI is either producing or facilitating, there are different ways in the way these resources are created. So some resources are created by our teams, and some resources are co-created with the community. And the language change is happening organically as we speak. So for instance, when we work with subject matter experts, we need to respect the language that they use. When we produce thought leadership research and learning resources, we choose language that is understandable by the community, but also respect our future direction. So I think that language is something that keeps evolving. And when you look at some past resources, past PEM books, you would probably see some of that evolution. But we also need to respect the speed of the transformation of the profession.
It's perfect. Thank you, Lenka. We now have Marion back. Marion, would you want to go through the next one by Alex?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, technical issue kicked me out. So another question, Alex, and thank you for raising this. So how realistic is it for large organizations to fully embrace the principles of enterprise agility when many still aspire to be agile in quotation marks? while continuing to operate in the same traditional ways. In your experience, what helps large organizations become genuinely open to be agile and challenging long-standing practices?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and maybe we will actually get to that a little bit later in the presentation, where we get to the actual principles of enterprise agility. But for any transformation and for any significant change towards enterprise agility, it has to start on the top with C-suite. And I would encourage you to check on projectmanagement.com. We released already 5 video interviews with CEOs that are implementing or advancing enterprise agility in their organizations. And they speak from their experience, what is their approach, and how they see that. I think that to move truly to enterprise agility, it requires that boldness, because you need to disrupt the organization a lot, because that change requires to rethink your governance models, your funding mechanisms, not only your processes, but also how you work with your colleagues on a C-suite level. So if there is no C-suite support, the change will likely not happen. This is where it needs to start. And it typically starts with the realization of the urgency of enterprise agility. So for instance, when you just look at all these data points that I put here, I would say the urgency is quite clear from that, but it still takes time for people to realize that and understand that the world is shifting. We face this volatility, we face this pressure for transformation, and we don't see any signals that this would go away.
Thank you very much, Lenka. That definitely resonates with me and where I work. Great to hear. We had one more request to join the stage from Ashling. Hopefully I've said your name correctly. So let's try this. Hopefully you're able to join and ask your question. You may need to unmute.
Yeah, here we go. Unmuted.
Yes,
Hello,
welcome.
Ashley.
If not, let's move on, Lenka, and then perhaps Ashling can pop the question in the Q&A, if that's okay.
All right, perfect. So moving on. So I talk a lot about these external forces that we see here, but we also see that these external forces are changing things on the inside. So when we have too much change, it's creating this change fatigue. And this is what leaders and employees are feeling recently. So overall, I will speed up a little bit because also looking at the time. Overall, we see that there are a lot of signals that are making organizations and organizational leaders, C-suite, to rethink how they run their organizations and creating this urgency to create that change readiness muscle. I have this chart here as well because I'm always trying to connect these principles of enterprise agility and how it's impacting the way we deliver projects and products. And this is more like a zoom in the project environment when all these forces that I just talked about are then translating into higher complexity of projects. And that's, again, by the way, coming back to our internal agility, because in complex environment, we need to develop our own sense and respond mechanism and learn how to move from plans and ability to predict to ability to sense and adapt. And just to close this part of the presentation, is not only what we think or see on external data points. This is also what our another PMI research is showing, that complexity of projects is increasing. We see that project professionals more and more report that they work on complex projects. They see complexity increasing. 37% of them say that it's increasing significantly. And then we can even spot some industries with a lot of impact of AI and digital transformations, where we see that percentage of complex projects is roughly 60% out of 100 that are happening in these industries. So all these signals something that we should not ignore. So let me close this part of the presentation with summary. So when we think about what CEOs, what do they need in order to navigate in this environment and lead their organizations to success, they are looking for faster decision making, they are looking for innovation, they are looking for speed to market. But where they need help, and this is where we can help through transformations that we drive, through changes that we deliver, is to challenge these legacy systems, processes, the way we decide, the way we approach our own organizational structures, hierarchies, and the way we approach our culture. So with that being said, let me now move to the Enterprise Agility Manifesto itself. So actually, I can ask I would not see your response in the chat, but maybe Marion can tell me later. Can you please share in the chat, just out of curiosity, did anyone already downloaded this essay? Did anyone already read the manifesto? And then what do you think about it? So Manifesto of Enterprise Agility is available on the website of PMI, but also on the website of Agile Alliance. It's a very brief document, so I think you can read it pretty fast. But it's not that much about reading it. It's really give it a time and just like thinking it through. So this manifesto was co-created with CEOs because enterprise agility, as we talked about that stadium, that's really a discipline that needs to be well understood and approached on the C-suite level so that then we can bring it further in the organization. It's backed up by global research, and the document is fairly simple. It contains the definition of enterprise agility, 4 values, and 9 principles. We sorted these principles into 3 buckets: leadership behavior, organizational design, and execution. So when I look inside, I see that the definition that was formed by all these inputs of CEO, C-suite, and experts from the agile space is that enterprise agility is the capacity to adapt at scale without losing coherence, to decide quickly, redirect resources deliberately, and keep strategy actionable under real-world pressure. So that's that strategic capability that organizations need to strive to achieve. And then these 4 values, these are more like guiding principles, filters, decision-making filters when we're designing organizations or changing and transforming, that should help us to get there. So the first one is about the importance of having clear purpose that we follow. So that's that guiding star, while being able to adapt on the way to get there. So it's essentially about realizing and understanding that if we want to move fast but coherently, it's no longer a plan that would get us there, because any plan will be likely challenged over time. But it's that purpose and enabling our teams to make the right decision to still follow that purpose, but being able to adjust the path on which they get to that purpose. The second value, that's about importance of having shared enterprise outcomes over functional optimization. So we can translate this as the need to break down silos, but also understanding that enterprise agility is truly achieved when we have enterprise collaboration and enterprise teamwork, where essentially we all go the same direction. And then when we need to adjust, it's easier for us. So it has many implications when it comes to transparency, access to information, but also psychological safety to be able to achieve this value. Then value number 3 is a little bit different, because that's really about that thing that we need to constantly challenge ourselves. We need to be bold, because only then we would be comfortable with continuous reinvention, innovation, reconfiguring how organizations operate versus trying to preserve the status quo. And this capability is so needed, especially when we look at all the challenges that organizations are facing today. And human centricity amidst change, that's the last value, equally critical, I would say, because organizations are formed by people. And if we talk about building that change readiness, building resilience, then we need to keep people front and center, because we need to help them to be able to walk us on that way of enterprise agility. So these values are supported by 9 principles. And as I mentioned, they are organized leadership behaviors, organizational design, and execution. There's 9 of them. I will probably not talk about each of them individually, because that will probably take a lot of time. But these principles is something that at PMI we will work on translating into more detailed guidance, focus on project professionals, so that we can help organizations to implement these principles.
Hey, Lenka, is it okay if we ask a few more questions?
Now it's perfect time.
Thank you. Apologies to all that apparently you can't see me, because I can see myself on camera, but you can't see me. So always fun working with technology. So let's go for a question from, first of all, I'd like to answer Valerie's question. You mentioned on projectmanagement.com, there are the CEO videos.
Mhm.
What I'll do behind the scenes, I think I found the link. I'm going to double check the link, and then I'm going to share it out with everyone, just so we can see those videos. I'd like to see those.
Yeah, I also recently posted about it on my LinkedIn when I put all 5 links, because each video is on a link. So I think I posted about maybe like a week ago, so you can also reshare it from there. But yes, but they are on projectmanagement.com, and they would be under topic Agile.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, that's great. So the next one is from Alexandru. Let me show you this question. Okay, so having the wonderful of the AI overtaking the whole spectrum of any society or organization, how prepared is the agile approach to prevent the multiple possibilities generated by the AI, where the unpredictability or the fear of unknown will actually get agile process to possibly change to an AI agile process?
No, so that's a perfectly valid question, and that's why, for instance, when you look at some of these principles, just to call out, for instance, this one, designed for adaptability, not just efficiency. That's the point why I keep repeating myself, that we can't just change, but we need to build that change muscle, that transformation muscle, because our existing processes or assumptions on how work is done, how work is delivered, are being challenged by AI. By the way, as PMI, we released in, I believe, November last year, a research that was specifically focused on impact of AI on agile practices on the team level. And I recall from that research that one of the main findings is that if you are not truly following agile values, and again, talking on the team level, AI will expose that. So for instance, if there's no true communication collaboration, and then you have AI taking meeting minutes of your meetings, it comes out, right? If products are not designed to deliver value, and then you speed up product delivery, or you speed up software design or software production, then again, it will show that faster. So essentially, AI is pushing us to understand how and where the value is really created and it's exposing our weaknesses in these delivery processes by automating and by making what is simple, low value added, by making it faster. So yes, AI is changing everything, but we are still, what is needed from us is to focus on business value, on business leadership, and understand where AI add value to us, so that we can focus more on these business leadership topics.
Excellent, thank you so much. So let me, if there's time, Lenka, there are 2 more questions.
Absolutely, yeah, we have time.
Excellent. Okay, Murph has asked one here. So where does employee engagement fit? Let me just highlight that question so others can see it. Where does employee engagement fit within enterprise agility? The reality, it is very low and getting lower, and in many organizations, the source is gallup.com. Shall I ask that again?
No, I think I understand, and that's why there is this value about human centricity amidst change, because it's absolutely correct. And I will go even 2 slides back, right? Or maybe more slides, right? So this is not an insight from Gallup. This is insight from Microsoft, where they are reporting that 80% of leaders and employees report a lack of time or energy to do their work. That's something that needs to be approached when it comes to this perpetuity of change and putting people in the center, like understanding how human nature plays in transformation and how change needs to be done so that you bring your people along with you. It's not easy. There's a lot of behavioral science around that, but we need to pay attention to that, because otherwise we exhaust our people, and organizations are still formed by people. So I fully agree that there is something that needs to be front and center, and we need to pay a lot of attention to that when it comes to the quest to achieve enterprise agility.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, one more question from Jackie. Does this manifesto and the research replace or augment previous research and thought leadership? For example, the work published through the Bright Line Initiative.
No, I would say not at all. We are building up on that, and actually for this work, and some people are people from the Bright Line Initiative, like Emil Anderson, who is part of our thought leadership team. So what we did, that we collected and analyzed 49 existing artifacts, researches, and existing manifesto on enterprise, business, and corporate agility. And findings from these were incorporated in this work. So it's not about replacing, it's more about expanding and building up on the knowledge and wisdom and experience that was created up until this point.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, so let me move forward. Or do we have any more questions at this point?
We do, but we can send them to you later, and then we can answer them by email also.
Well, it's fine because I'm almost at the end. So I just wanted to summarize that when we think about these principles, and I will give you some time, to go through these principles and values, there are things where we will achieve enterprise agility if we change some structures and processes, but a lot of that is really about our attitude. It's about our mindset, and it's a lot about ourselves, how we approach change, for instance, with people in the center. It's about how we see ourselves, how we see our role, how we learn during executing, and then how we develop our own personal change readiness, resilience, and agility. And I think that these skills are very important for us, for future-proofing ourselves, because overall, when it comes to product delivery, we need to find ways how to deal with increased complexity and perpetual change. And this is where we need to be more successful so that we can support C-suite leaders when they are trying to advance agility on the enterprise level. So with that being said, I will move to my last slide, which is not content or insights and findings, but these were the questions that you submitted during the registration of the event. And so I think that we have 15 minutes to pick up some of these questions and discuss. So Marion, I will leave it up to you how you would like to moderate it. We can go one by one, but we can also give space to people who connected to this event if they have live questions, and then we can somehow, because we would not be able to answer all 15 of them, but I think we can address at least some of them.
Yes, thank you very much. Perhaps we'll take the two more that have come in through the Q&A live from attendees. So one from Alex here. What would you recommend for PMI practitioners who want to be fully prepared to support organizations on their journey towards enterprise agility? In other words, which core skills, certifications, or minimum training pathways should we prioritize to ensure we can guide organizations effectively through such a transformation?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So when you look at this chart, I would start with our own change readiness and our own resilience. I would definitely focus on business acumen. Business acumen is very important skill. I know sometimes I feel like I sound like a book when I'm quoting all this research and resources, but on our website, we released a research on business acumen a year ago. It's part of our Pulse of the Profession edition. There was also a session done about that topic on PM Expo, and we did a really good interview with Howard Yu, who is IMD and Harvard professor and global thought leader, who is giving advice how to develop business acumen. So for business acumen, these are the resources that I would definitely recommend. I would also recommend to use resources that are based on our project success research that is pretty much aligned with these findings. Very recently, just a few weeks back, we released MORE playbook learning course, and we will be releasing soon MORE playbook as a document that again talks about practices and helps project professionals to upskill in those skills that are based on business acumen, that are based on leadership, and that are really focused on value creation. So these are the current resources that I would recommend, but overall, it's really about us, how we embrace change and build our own resilience so that we just embrace what is happening right now instead of trying to fight it.
Great, thank you very much. So we've got more questions coming in, which is fantastic. So from Valerie here, hi Lenka. With the recent needs for speed in transformation and volatility in AI ethics, what organizations can you say are getting it right for the most part statistically?
For organizations, okay, so first of all, let me just do one thing. So I will end this slideshow and I will try to join you again online. Okay, so now I see you.
Great.
That's better. Okay, and now I'm sorry, and now please again repeat
No
the
problem.
question.
So for the recent needs for speed in transformation and volatility in AI ethics, what organizations can you say are getting it right for the most part statistically?
So that's a very hard question, and I don't know how to answer it because I don't have any ready statistics when it comes to volatility and AI ethics. But I would put it this way. I think what for me, always ethics is so important. It sometimes sounds like something obvious, like we don't do bad things. But in some cases, not following ethical standards and code of ethics can really destroy organizations because what ethics create is the integrity and trust. And so I don't have statistics on AI ethics volatility organizations, but I have in my mind statistics that very increasingly across business landscape, the importance of trust is making it one of the top metrics for CEOs. The reason is quite simple because they need to manage trust between themselves and their customers. So I would say the organizations who are able to be transparent, communicate transparently, and really prioritize customer value and then embed these ethical principles, these are the ones that are going to be successful. Because also what we see on these principles of enterprise agility, ultimately, it's more about long-term outcomes over short-term gains. And this is where code of ethics really plays an important role.
Thank you. Great. And we've got time for one more here. What is the most important difference from Ilka, this is, what is the most important difference than Agile Manifesto?
Oh, that's a perfect question. I totally love it. So I hear it a lot. So who knows what was actually the reason behind the creation of people say Agile Manifesto, but the correct name of the document is actually Manifesto for Agile Software Development. That's a correct name of the document. So who knows that? Put it in the chat. And before you do, I will probably answer faster. Oh, Alexandra. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I think that it was created in the 1990s, right? It was like it has already like 20 or 30 years, and it was created to help software engineers to organize their work, right? I think it was.
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
absolutely. So, so actually, I mentioned it that I was myself studying software engineering roughly around 25 years ago. I don't want to disclose my age too much, but you can find it on my LinkedIn anyway. But the point is that that was the time where industries were seeing quite a strong rise of commercial software development, which means software product development. What was the issue at that time? That the way how changes or products or projects were delivered at that time, it was more sequential, and then customer was somewhere at the end of that process. It was not working anymore when you wanted to deliver speed. So the Manifesto for Agile Software Development was addressing a very specific problem: how to bring customer closer to the product development so that you essentially remove the middleman and then really focus on what matters for a customer. And because with digital transformation and software development and all of that and addressing customer needs, you need to embed innovation principles. And again, to innovate, it's simply more efficient if you have the opportunity to iterate, test, learn, iterate, test, learn. And so that was driving the need, because the people who created Manifesto for Agile Software Development got together, discussed it, and align on these principles. By the way, some of them actually collaborated with us on the creation of Manifesto for Enterprise Agility. But Manifesto for Enterprise Agility is solving for different challenge. The challenge that we need to address with Manifesto for Enterprise Agility is that changing business environment and that pressure that is created on organizations to transform at speed, but also build that change readiness muscle. So it's a different challenge, but both of these challenges can be addressed with certain set of good values and principles.
Thank you, Lenka. I'd like to welcome someone on stage, if that's okay. So we've got Amal here asking to join. So let's see if that goes. So you need to join stage when we let you in. Great. And unmute yourself. Welcome.
Hello, how are you? Hi, Lenka, how are you? Nice
Hi,
to see you. Hi. I hope you are all doing well. Just wanted to say hi and to tell you that I have downloaded the manifesto, and I attended your session at the PMI Expo about the manifesto also. And it's a great work, and thank you. That's it. That's what I want to say.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So thank you all for having me with this webinar too, as well. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you
very
so
welcome.
much.
Thank you. Okay, and then we found one more question. It's great to have all these questions. This one's from Paul. How do we define the roadmap for enterprise agility? How do we measure progress along the way?
Yeah, so I don't think that it's much about roadmaps or about like that plan, right? I think if we want to think about enterprise agility, it has to start with thinking it through. What are these values truly about? And what are these principles truly about? So I will share with you, for instance, an exercise that we did at PMI with our own executive leadership, because we always try to, how you say that in English, walk the walk, talk the talk, or walk the talk, Anyways, so what we did during our last executive team meeting, we put the manifesto on the screen and we just discussed it. we just look at these values and principles, and then we were essentially challenging ourselves and saying like, okay, so if this is the value, so what are we doing as an organization? Do we live that value or we don't live that value? And it was a great discussion, which resulted in certain realizations. And then as executive leaders, then we typically know what to do with that. It gives us direction. Then we can go and support these values and principles. But I think that where it has to start is that honest dialogue on the C-suite level, because this is not about enterprise agility. That's not about framework. That's not about process. It's not about ticking boxes and saying, "Oh, I got it. I'm good." Right? It's not that. It's really, that's how I would encourage you, find these interviews with CEOs and just listen to them how they approach it. Achieving enterprise agility is absolutely not easy because it's really about building strategic capability that goes across the enterprise, and also the work is never done because when you change, the other things change and other challenges arise. So it's really about understanding why we need to build that change readiness muscle and then consistently, continuously strengthening it. If you think about an athlete, they cannot train just once and then win the race. They are winning and training, winning and training.
It's the word journey that comes to my mind. It's
Absolutely.
not just a target or the goal, but everything you do along the way.
Yeah, exactly like that.
So I think we've come to the hour nearly, and I'd like to thank absolutely everyone here on a team. Again, as you just said, we need to work together. Thank you, Lenka, for a very interesting conversation. I too will be doing some more research and watch those CEO videos for sure. Something that I'm always very keen on wherever I work is to make sure that we speak their language, and the word strategy I use as much as possible rather than just delivering a project, but actually, as you say, delivering the strategy is what we need to do. And thank you to everybody that's joined. I've been watching the numbers go up, so nobody's left. So I'm really pleased to see that everyone was really captivated by the topic. And thank you to all behind the scenes with the technical management of making things work and popping up the questions. So yes, thank you very much. Fantastic.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And again, congratulations on your first ever Cambridge branch hybrid or online event. It was amazing, and I really enjoyed it a lot.